Hello and welcome to Achievement Hunting 101, the podcast that used to have a time estimate of 3 hours, but now that we're old, we got about 90 minutes to share with you today. This is level 244. I am Big L, and with me today we have Kooshmoose.
Where's the clicker?
We have
clicker.
Michelle.
Where's the clicker? I missed a reference already. This is going to be a long show.
It's something an old person would say.
Oh, okay.
Now, an old person would walk up to the TV and change the channel.
Yeah, exactly. Manual
Remember they had
labor.
dials. They said, "Don't touch that dial," because you had to. That's how you change the channels, with a dial, not a button, a dial.
Okay,
And
calm
Kenny
down,
is
Koosh.
actually feeling quite well today, but he's not here. But we do have a special guest, and he's Wild West. Hello.
If anyone is listening, I am stuck here with these old people. Please help me. Send help.
Now, you have like 7 kids, and like you're old too. Stop it. Yeah, something like that. You got
Come on, you're allowed to sit at the big boy table.
If you're not aged with 3 girls, I don't know what you would.
They haven't hit teenage years yet, so I'm good so far.
Oh gosh.
Well, thanks for having me. It's good to be back
Yes.
here.
He has 9 girls aged 1 through 9.
No. Definitely not.
No?
No,
All right.
no. But
Well, last week we had some Scottish dude, Chewy, filling in. Thank you for that, Chewy. Of course, he decided to be on the time that I wasn't on. I'll have to record with him eventually. That's it's always been a dream of mine. Anyway,
shouldn't be dreaming about
we have
that.
a nightmare for him. I'm a fan of the lad. All right, we're going to go right into the question of the week. And it may or may not have been crafted because it has something to do with the Game Showcase games that a couple of us are going to be talking about. But we'll jump right in. And I asked the patrons, do you pay attention to time estimates on TrueAchievements.com? Is there a certain time estimate that would make it so you would start or wouldn't start a particular game? And finally, what's the longest game you would start once you find out a game you may want to play is leaving Game Pass? Well, right off the bat, we had Vulgar Latin, who said, yes, but only for my own reference. If I want to play it, I'll play it regardless. Doesn't matter if it's leaving Game Pass. I got money. I can buy stuff.
Classic.
Classic.
I was trying to figure out where Devin is from.
Where's his top hat and his coattail suit and everything?
Yeah.
Twirling
His
his
monocle
mustache.
that he adjusts as he's judging you all because we won't just buy games no matter how long they take.
Well, thank you for that great answer. Ahizo says, I pay attention to them just to get a general idea of what I'm getting into. There's no real hard line of what time estimate will keep me away. Depends how much I wanted to play the game anyways. I would play Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 if it was a 500-hour estimate, but not a 100-hour Angry Birds. I think you mean like a 1-hour Angry Birds. I'm more likely to keep away from a game for being too low of an estimate. A 0 to 0.5 hour tells me it isn't worth my time. For Game Pass, it's again about how much I wanted to play anyways. If I would buy it anyways, it's his new favorite word. He said it 3 times. Anyways. I'll start basically anything, whether I can FOMO it or not. Huh. That's a verb now? All right. if I wouldn't spend money on it, I'd probably cap it at 20 hours if I'm starting fresh. All right. 20 hours. Yeah, for me, realistically, if a game's leaving Game Pass, probably not going to start anything that's more than like 6 hours, honestly. Unless it's something I really wanted to play. And if I really wanted to play it, I probably would have played it. But this is what we do. We wait for server closures and Game Pass leavings. But I definitely do look at time estimates before I start a game. Sometimes there's a time estimate on TA, but then you look at the walkthrough, and the walkthrough has a different time estimate. So it's always good to look around. I also tend to go on YouTube, and if it's a game that has like a full playthrough, see how long the video is, to see how long that took the YouTube person. And then you probably double that to get a real answer of how long it takes. But I definitely check out time estimates.
Is there a sweet spot for you? Like your favorite series? How many hours? How many hours are you wanting the achievement list to be?
I don't know. Well, I'm going to get into that a little more later with the my showcase, but
tease.
It's interesting because, like, if you got a game you really wanted to play and it was over and done with quickly, you kind of feel ripped off, right?
Yeah.
Like if Hogwarts was, 3 to 4 hours, you probably wouldn't be too thrilled with that after spending full price for a top game, right?
What was the last game you actually enjoyed playing, though, El?
Wait, what do you mean?
I mean, a lot of your stuff on RTDL just is painful and inane.
Hey.
So when you played, the last time you played, okay, you're still not answering the question. When was the last time you played a game you enjoyed?
I think he just goes on the TA games, and anything above half hour is just like, wait, there's games that go that long?
You guys have me all wrong. Been enjoying Halo Infinite on Thursdays.
Nice. Okay.
But the group stuff is
always an answer.
Fun. I need to find a good single player game. That may be in my game showcase. Who wants to read stuff next?
I'm going to
go with Wild West.
Yeah, I'll take the next two.
Oh, I forgot to mention in my question that you're not allowed to say Rocket League or else. So go ahead.
So I can't read MDP 73's answer?
Fine, go ahead.
He says Rocket League. I'm not going to read the other profane stuff against the podcast, but he says, I've decided not to start Memoir Blue, not because of the time estimate, but because it would be for gamer score only, and I'm starting to find that meaningless. I do pay attention to time estimates and the game rating. I'm much more likely to play games rated 4+ and 100 hours long than a 1.5 rated game that only takes 20 minutes. And that's a lot that I agree with there. If I see people that are playing games that they rate well and everything, but I would agree with that overall.
It's easy to say that after getting a million gamer score and playing a bunch of crappy games.
Yeah, I've done both.
I mean, I think that's a new opinion.
Yeah.
And burnout is real. When you play all that stuff at a quick pace and
sure,
you just tire of it.
Burnout is real.
Absolutely.
He's Canadian. It's Burnout, Michelle. Come
Oh,
on.
my bad. I forgot my translator this morning.
Dang it. And then Scarovese says, yes, I like to try and beat them when playing something that only has a base game. The new base game plus DLC time estimate made things really wonky. I'm just ignoring this, so I ignore those. I'd only start a game announced to be leaving Game Pass if it was under 100 hours, as that's the longest I can likely complete in the 2 weeks we typically have. So that's another thing I agree with. I enjoy the base game DLC edition that they added. It's nice to see kind of a complete look at it. So I was kind of thinking about this question today, and for the games that I really like, I would say a good achievement list to me would fit in the 40 to 50 hour range. I think most games you can do quite a bit in that time. I do look at time estimates, just because I don't have the time to do everything like I used to. I mean, I'll still do the Assassin's Creed like I talked about last time. That's the 100+ hours on there, but it'll just take me a little bit longer, but I can't be doing those all the time because I wouldn't get to play as much as I wanted to of other stuff. So I do take that into account, but I still got to do The Witcher 3 and I want to do Dragon Age sometime, and those are some beefy games. But I do like the games like Control and other ones that are 20 hours to beat everything up or to finish everything, and just kind of go in there and play it and kind of enjoy a smaller story. But overall, I enjoy it. I think, games like Far Cry and Assassin's Creed that I still enjoy, but once you get past that 40 to 50 hours, I think you're kind of pushing it on what you're asking people to do for stuff.
But if a game was leaving Game Pass,
Okay, yeah, so you're right. So if a game's leaving Game Pass, I think if it's less than 25 hours, I'll do it. I've done a few of those, and I don't mind doing that, especially if I can jump on it right away. But anything longer than that, I know that, and I might not have the time to do it, especially if I'm enjoying some other games at the moment. I probably won't have the time to do it.
Okay. Michelle, how about you?
Let me start by reading a couple more patron responses. So we have Philip Wendell, who says, great question. Yes, I look at that to determine what I'm in the mood for. Sometimes you want something quick, and sometimes you want something to really invest in. I find that my playtime is oftentimes 50% more than the estimate, unfortunately. And before I more long-form answer this question in a moment, that was actually my immediate response is I do look at the estimates mostly to add 25% to them. Like I just tend to go through games slower, I suppose, and I think some of that's a product of not always playing games just for the achievement list, because that's really what the estimate is for. So I usually look at it, and if a game says it's 10 to 12, I'll bump my own estimate in my brain to 12 to 15 pretty much routinely. And then also Retstack adds a bit, but there's no real estimate that won't make me not play a game that I want to play. It might have an impact on if I try to play a Game Pass game before it leaves, but it's weighted with other factors like how hard the game is, how interested I am in the game, whether there's a walkthrough or plenty of help in the achievement section. To be honest, that's all stuff I weigh when I'm picking games in general. It's a balancing act. Weighing the dopamine hit of an achievement popping or completion versus the frustration I'm going to feel getting there. Also, a bunch of emojis. So I agree with a lot of this.
It was Rocket League emoji. She was being very mean. Very mean, Cat.
No.
That is okay. That is okay. Yeah, I'm kind of the same mind with a lot of this stuff. And the estimate of how long a game takes is just like another item in the basket of things when considering a game I'm on the fence about. I've hit a point mostly like the games I know I want to play, I'm going to play. I don't really care about how long they say they're going to take to complete because, once again, TA estimates are about the completion for achievements. So you'll have a game like Beautiful Katamari, for example, where you can really get everything out of the game in about 20 hours. But if you want the completion, it's 100 because of that one achievement that asks you to play for 100 hours. So I unless I'm really on the fence about something, generally that number isn't going to sway me one way or the other. With regard to Game Pass games and also games that are about to go through a server closure, so like some of these massively multiplayer games that have been announced for closure, that's more where if the game has never been started by me, I'll look at the time estimate because I mean, I'm hearing some of these numbers that people are throwing at 100 hours for 2 weeks. Like if the game is more than 10 to 12 hours, I don't think I'm getting through that in a 2-week period. So I will use that for Game Pass closures or for when a server is shutting down. I'll look at that number a little more closely. But yeah, it's again, it's kind of like toward the bottom of a long list of things that I'd consider sort of similar to what was just said here.
Nice. All right, Nate, you're up.
All right. Let me start off with Hawkeye Berry, who apparently won a game a while ago. I only look at the time estimates as a rough guide. Only if a game is over 100 hours do I stop and think if this is really worth sinking that much time into. We usually get a couple weeks notice, so I would start a game that needed 40 or more hours before leaving Game Pass. I agree. Hurricane Dale. We had our firstborn recently, and since then I pay much closer attention to estimates because a 100-hour game is much more difficult to fit in my free time. Congratulations on your firstborn.
Congratulations.
Yes,
However,
congratulations.
if I really want to play something, I won't let that stop me. For me, if something is leaving Game Pass, I won't start it unless it's 10 hours. Anything more, and I run the risk of not completing it before it leaves.
Just have Vulgar buy it for you.
Yeah, he's got money.
He may already have a game share partner. I'm pretty sure. If you pay attention, you may know who it is. Let me start off by saying that I kind of agree with Ahizo here. Half hour to 1 hour is typically not worth my money. Any game that is that short can't be enough fun to meet the value per time for me. Now, maybe other people have different metrics that they use, different rubrics that they use to calculate value per time. That to me is just kind of a garbage game that I don't really want to spend my money on anymore. Now, there was a time when I was like, sweet, but those days are past for me right now. And then later on, I think someone else mentioned it. I'm not going to attribute that correctly. So I'll just go on and say, okay, what is the longest game I would start once you find out? Number one, do I look at the time estimates? Not a whole lot, not for regular play, but when it does come time for Game Pass, that's when I will pay attention to the time. So this question is exactly the time that I look at those estimates. And what do I do about the time? Well, first of all, my first filter for am I going to play a Game Pass game is, do I want to play this game? Because, I'm a changed man. I no longer just play these things because they're leaving Game Pass. Ever. It's got to be a fun game. It's got to be a game I want to play, first of all, for the most part. And then I do look at the time. Well, I also look at, do I already own it? But yeah, the time is important. Because there's just not enough time to do everything, especially when there are server closures going on. So I've got like 2 games in the background, for instance, or most recently I had Bleeding Edge and also Knockout City. Now those are both done for me. Still have to get a couple people through Bleeding Edge, but now that those are done, like I do have a bunch more free time, but I'm looking at stuff that I haven't completed yet that it's going away in a couple days. And I'm a little bit regretful that I'm not going to be able to get to those. Like Cluster Truck, maybe I'll get a chance to play a little bit more of that. And then what was the one? Kraken Academy. I'm really looking forward to checking that out, but that's cheap enough that I could pick it up on a sale. So yeah, I mean, I do look at the time estimates, but primarily just for Game Pass. And what is that magic number for me? The max I would play be 40 to 60. I couldn't do 2 of those unless there was that rare stack where, you completing one carries over at least partial progress on the PC stack or something like that. And if I did do that, it means I probably wouldn't be playing much of anything else because 2 weeks, we don't really get 2 weeks. We get like, a week and like 3/4 of a week because the news cycle on Game Pass stuff is horrible these days. Ever since, last couple months of last year, we just haven't been getting these notifications. So yeah, I think that answers your question. I'm just babbling. 40 to 60 would be my limit for sure.
And I guess if there's multiple games, that would be 40 to 60 spread across all of them.
I don't really. I mean, I guess I do that math.
Some weeks there's so many.
Yeah. I don't think I do the math where I'm like, okay, I have 60 hours that I can contribute to these types of games. But luckily, I don't normally have to make that type of decision because there's just so little that I have to play. But yeah, it does get crammed pretty tight sometimes. Not right now, though.
Yeah. And if you don't finish something, Volgar will buy it for you. So
yeah, you can always put a pin in it, do a price watch.
That was a very good sound effect. We'll have to hire you to provide
be our soundboard.
Cash register noises.
In fact, it's my turn for Volgar's credit card, so I need that number here soon.
All right. That was a good question, Big Al. Oh, thanks, Big Al. You're very handsome and smart. Oh, thank you. So are you. Oh, thank you. All right. It's time for Game Showcase. Do we want to go on a rant to start or to end? I think we'll end with the rant. We're going to go to our special guest, Wild West.
Nice. All right.
And,
yeah.
You're up first, Buzz.
Sounds good. So I have been playing 2 Point Campus. I think Kenny talked a little bit about this when it came out. And so I've been wanting to kind of, check it out and start it. I remember when 2 Point Hospital came out, my wife enjoys those kind of games, and so I was like, here, why don't you, I showed her some videos of it, and I was like, hey, I think you'd like this, and then secretly thinking to myself, well, I can get some achievements while she's playing it. And she played it for a couple hours, and I was like, it's not really my thing, and left it on my tag, so sometime I'll get back to it, but I have been enjoying Campus quite a bit. I don't know how it compares to Hospital, because I've only played maybe an hour of Hospital. I think I did it for some TA contest one time, and that was it, because it was an achievement I could get easily. So I don't know how it compares, but I have been having a lot of fun with it, and the controls are very good. If I don't know, I've been trying to get more back into management games recently, as I enjoyed those in my youth, and I don't know how it compares to Age of Empires or other stuff that might be considered more management games, but the controls here are very good. It maps well the controller, the buttons. They are able to sift through the menus really quickly. I think it does a decent job of kind of telling you the ropes of what to do, and then it kind of lets you figure it out from there. So I think it does a good balance with it, not hand holding the whole time, but also does pick up the tips. Basically what you do is, I think there's about 10 or 12 areas, and you start out a basic one. They give you like $300,000, and they say, hey, we've had this campus, it's really bad, come spruce it up for us. And so you'll hire teachers in different educations, like virtual reality, or what's another one? There's a Hogwarts spinoff of witches and wizards and stuff like that, and you'll see the students at the start of the year with the wizards. They'll take their little twig and twirl it around like they're casting spells and stuff like that out in the open. So it's pretty fun. I enjoy it. I think anybody that likes those management games would enjoy this as well. I think it's about a 50-ish hour completion, so it's not terribly long without the DLC. I haven't gotten into that yet. I'm about 3/4 of the way through them. Each campus has 3 stars you can earn towards achievements, along with a lot of miscellaneous things that you can do at different campuses. And once you kind of pick up the groove of how to make money and how to spend the money and how to earn your happiness of your students, the happiness of your teachers, and a lot of other things. Once you kind of learn that, I think it really gets fun to play with, and it's a worthy game of Game Pass, and I probably will buy it just to continue playing it for a while, because I really like it, and I'll probably buy the DLC for it when I get to that point and help support that company, because I enjoy it. I haven't really found any glitches in it. I didn't really hear much of anything bad like that when the game came out, so I think that's good to see. But I really enjoy it. I know it's not all y'all's thing, but for those people who like management games, I think it really does a great job without being, some 200+ hour, completion things. So, is everyone waking up from their nap now?
No, I was just wondering when Fufu
I'm just joking.
I was wondering when Fufu got here and when his management games. What is this?
Well, I've kind of mixed up the genres pretty well, I think. I think I've did the Assassin's Creed, I've done Red Dead, I did Control, and now I'm switching over to give something else. So
so the shortest game there was like 120 hours.
Yeah.
So how do you feel generally about the achievement list? Like it looks like it's more just a long grind, but is there anything RNG, anything people should look out for when they're starting the game to maybe make the path to completing it a little easier or a little less time?
I mean, I would say for RNG, there's really not anything RNG. It's just mostly like, if you can't manage the campus very well, then you're probably going to have a hard time progressing towards those stars. So they'll have the first, I don't remember specifically, I'd have to go back and look, but for like a star, they'll have you do 3 requirements to get, or 3 or 4 requirements to get a star. And they'll say like your students need to average 70% happiness. And so you need to go in and buy some video game machines and some, junk food, vending machines and other stuff. Like it'll tell you when you're going to buy it, say, hey, this will help out increase happiness and stuff like that. And so you do that and it'll increase, the happiness of those students. Or the same thing, you'll do those same things for your teachers as well. You can create a teacher's lounge and put a bunch of stuff in there and it'll increase their happiness. Or you can train them. So most of them start at level 1 for their, course that they're teaching, and then you can build a machine to help train them up higher so your students learn more. And some of the other requirements might be like you have to average a B+ grade for all your students, and so if the higher your teachers' course learning, the better their students will learn and they'll have a higher grade. So as far as RNG, I would say no, there's not a lot there unless you just can't pick it up. But I wouldn't say it's really much of a grind either. I mean, I think I've seen a lot of games in the genre that are 100+ hours, 200+ hours on that, and 50 hours for the base game. I think is pretty good time estimate for it. So
absolutely.
Well, that's 2 Point Campus. So really good game if you like that genre.
Does it have that just
school.
one more thing to do kind of pull to it? Like some of these games, you're like, all right, I'm just gonna make sure this teacher's trained in one more class, then I'm ready to go. Or is it pretty easy to like put down and step away from?
Yeah, we were talking about that with kind of Civilization the other day in the Discord. It does a little bit. It's not as bad. Like Civilization kind of has that, I need to do one more turn because my army unit's about to attack this place. I'm gonna get this city, or I'm about to finish this technology, or build this whatever. And so it doesn't have that. I find it easier to put down, but there are some moments on the weekend where I do stay up later and I'm like, ooh, I just want to get this last star done so I can move on to the next campus tomorrow. And it does have a feel for that. Yeah.
All right. Thank you for the 2 Point Campus talk.
Thank you.
8, what have you been playing?
I have been playing a brand new game that just came out today on the 30th, because that's how time travel works.
That is today.
Yes. And that game is called LUNARK. We got early release code from Way Forward Technologies, the publisher. We love them, or at least I love them, because the majority of their games are super cool for me, kind of 8-bitty. Just remind me of good times with various games in the past. So what is LUNARK? Well, it's a platformer. And if you're an old like me, or you play old games, you might like this game if you like games like Another World, or Flashback, or the original Prince of Persia before there were colons and other game titles following the Prince of Persia in the title. They are old school platformers where you die instantly if you make a mistake. You do actually have health or hearts, and you can increase your hearts. But if you fall from more than 2 levels high, it's an instant death. Doesn't matter what your health is. Or in some cases, just you could just die because you walked into the wrong corner. It's got your classic moves of standing still jump. You have ledge climbing and lowering. You have running jumps with running jump and ledge hang. If you've played Prince of Persia, I mean, you know what I'm talking about. This is a very chunky graphical game. So those other games, it's like you're kind of farther zoomed out. I in my memory, at least you are, and the sprites are a little smaller. In this game, they're fairly large. Like I think you can only fit like 3 levels tall, or 3. I'll call them levels. 3 lanes high. 3 lanes high. Yeah, that sounds about right. Per screen. And so if you go any higher than that, then the screen scrolls and you're on a new screen. And it's really cool. I mean, if you're into that old style, if you're into that 8-bitty graphics, it's very cool. If you're not into that, you're going to hate it. Walk away now. It's not for you. The game, it's got, let's see, it has 33 achievements. And they are a mix of progression-based, and they are a mix of secrets. So finding secret rooms and things. I hardly ever talk about the story. The story in this game, you are tasked by someone to go find a MacGuffin, and then you go off to get the MacGuffin, and then everything goes kind of crazy, haywire, and then you take off from there. So there you go. That's why I don't talk about the story. So the majority of these achievements are, yes, progression based, but also finding these secret locations. And a secret location is really just like, this wall that has like a little bit of detail to it that makes you think, oh, that doesn't look like the other wall. And sure enough, you can walk behind it. And more often than not, there's a collectible behind there, or there's a shell. And there is a character in the game that once every time you give him 3 shells, he gives you, well, I'm not going to tell you what he gives you because it's kind of funny, but he'll give you, let's just call it an upgrade. And he wants 3 shells at a time. So you just need to keep finding those and keep giving them to him. And then he'll keep giving you upgrades. Then there are achievements for dying. And you're going to get those pretty early on. Like there's one for running into a wall, which if you've played those old games, absolutely it's going to happen within the first 5 minutes. You're going to run into a wall. You're going to fall more than 2 levels high and die instantly. That's going to happen too. But yeah, it's a great game. Another reason I love this game, there's an achievement for petting the dog. There's an achievement for petting all the dogs. So I mean, they spoke to me. They knew that I was going to talk about this game, I'm sure. And they put that in. But yeah, so if you're into those old types of games, then this is definitely something you want to look at. It's got some quality of life improvements over the older games, but it needs some more. There is one problem in that I played about 20 minutes of the game initially before I had to go do something else. And I was like, okay, I'll save. I'll come back to this. I had not progressed far enough in that first level to actually hit a save point or actually hit an auto save point. So I didn't really know. So if you don't complete a level, it does not save the game. And there is no way to force a save. Yeah. So if you don't have enough time and you shut it off, you have to play that level again. And it's not that bad because the challenge of this game is learning the levels. Once you learn the level and you know what you have to do and the sequence you have to do it, you can play through those levels very quickly. In most cases, there is some backtracking and stuff, but you'll figure that out as you play the game. It also seems like there are missables. I have not yet seen a level select. Maybe when you beat the game, there's a level select, but I wouldn't count on it. This feels like the type of game where you're going to have to play through. And for one of these achievements, possibly 2 of these achievements, maxing out your gun and maxing out your health, I think you're going to have to get all the collectibles in one playthrough from beginning to end. And I don't know how long that is because I've only gotten to like level 8 or so, according to the game. But I'm about halfway through the achievements. So I feel like the story has just started to open up. So I don't even think I'm halfway through at this point. But yeah, if any of that sounds good and you are a fan of those old games, this is something you should definitely check out. It's a little pricey. It's $20. And right now there's a sale. It's $18. So not a huge savings, but I would recommend putting a pin in this if any of that sounds interesting, and get this at some other time. And that's LUNARK.
Yeah, it is 100% Prince of Persia from watching some videos of it.
It's so hard to judge anything, especially with the achievements.
It's got the rotoscoped cut.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was just saying, it's so hard to judge anything, especially with the achievements in the game, because it's only tracked by 6 people, 3 of whom have completed it. And who knows, what those, if those 3 people were involved in developing it or given any sort of information. But, the very early going seems to indicate that the game is, we know that all the achievements work and that it's completable. But to something you said about the collectibles, I just noticed that of the very limited player base, that the least tracked achievement is for finding one specific collectible. So at least somebody was able to max out the guns before finding all the collectibles. So you were thinking it's attached, that pairing that up is attached to collectibles, or that was kind of your assumption at this point? got a little confused in listening to it.
Yeah, no, you absolutely have to get the collectible to power up the gun. Like there's a specific there's a specific kind of like pedestal you go to upgrade the guns. And sometimes those things, they're hidden or they're in kind of an out of the way place. So it might be possible that you could miss those ones. It's these shells that you'll eventually turn in that will upgrade your health. Those are a lot easier to miss.
Oh, okay.
They're smaller. They're on the ground. Sometimes they're in secret areas.
Okay, so someone
you could miss a gun.
Yeah,
I'm sure you could. Yeah.
That sounds interesting to me. I played all those games years ago.
Yeah, I see a lot of influences. And it's just funny to me that the game is being marketed as a cinematic platformer.
Well, it's kind of how they marketed Out of This World and Flashback back in the day. It's sort of similar to their approach. Like at that point, it was I think it was like CD-ROM in a cart, like for Flashback at least, where the whole idea was, they made this really amazing looking thing that you didn't need this fancy new technology that everyone was resisting at the time.
Yeah, the story's mostly told, through your gameplay. But there's every now and then there's like these very short cutscenes. They're like 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and they're rotoscoped, which is like how they were done in like Another World and Flashback. I don't remember cutscenes in Prince of Persia, but that's just my memory.
I don't remember them either.
But if you remember those cutscenes from Another World and Flashback, it's very similar to that.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I mean, Prince of Persia was like 1972. All right. So that was LUNARK.
Yeah, but make sure it's all in caps too.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Scream it out.
LUNARK.
If you type it in lowercase, nothing's going to come up. So
it's very true. All right, so I have been playing new Super Lucky's Tale. Now, this showed up. It showed up on RTDL, but I first played it in January when there was the True Achievements target for Happy New Year. So I needed a game with new in the title, and I needed some quick achievements. So I threw on new Super Lucky's Tale. And this is one of those games where I played Super Lucky's Tale. So I'm like, all right, do I want to play new Super Lucky's Tale? The only thing I knew going in was that you had complete control of the camera, unlike Super Lucky's Tale. So full motion with the right stick camera. What I didn't know is that there was a lot of changes, and most of them to make the game easier. So for example, if you hit a box or if you kill an enemy, you automatically get the coins. The coins, how some games there'll be like a magnet item where the coins come to you. You don't have to go and collect the coins. And another thing is, so like if you fall in the water during the stage in Super Lucky's Tale, you would lose a life. In New Super Lucky's Tale, you would just lose one of your 3 hearts, and they would put you right back on the platform that you started. So they definitely tried to make the game easier. For those who don't know, it's basically your standard 3D platformer, a la Mario 64. Nate, I remember you and I both. I'm pretty sure. I keep thinking it's a Series X, but I guess it was the 1X. This was like one of the first games to take advantage of the 1X enhancements. Does that sound right? I remember it was one of the first games that was like, oh, this is beautiful. I think it was on the 1X. Yeah, so this was one of those weird things where on RTTL I needed an achievement in New Super Lucky's Tale, and it wound up being this stage called Trapped in Paradise, and you need to beat it without flipping a switch. And in regular Lucky's Tale, for this month's targets, it's the Ides of March. So the achievement name had IDE in it. So I actually needed the same achievement in both games. And it was very interesting playing them side by side. Super Lucky's Tale definitely harder, but the level design was different. And and the name of the level inexplicably changed from Stuck in Paradise to Trapped in Paradise. There's very, very different things going on. But Nate, to answer your question from earlier, yeah, there's definitely differences. To answer you from earlier, Nate, I enjoyed playing this game.
It's like
yeah, but you didn't think of that until you got to this part of the show.
I mean,
yes, I did.
Yes, I did. I actually had to play through most.
A thesaurus on their desk, and we're like, let's just change some names here. And just started flipping through it.
I actually had to play through basically the whole game this month because I had a high ratio achievement, didn't know what it was for Scavenger, and it reasoned out it had to be in the high 2s. So I played a lot of it and I had fun. And there's a lot of wrestling references, which I enjoyed. A lot of wrestling references. I don't know why. I'm pretty sure they added some voice acting also that wasn't in Super Lucky's Tale. So if, like me, you played Super Lucky's Tale and held off on new Super Lucky's Tale because you thought it was the same thing, give it a go if you haven't played that one in a while. It's a good time. It's a good time. And I think they made it easier. So if you have kids that you want to introduce the 3D platformer to, it's a good choice. As far as the achievements go, there's a lot of achievements. And they're mostly for completing each level 100%. You spell out lucky. You get 300 coins. Oh, also, in Super Lucky's Tale, getting 300 coins was kind of a chore. Now, you can get at least 400 plus easily. Doing that and finding the hidden page and beating the level. So you get the 4 pages in each stage, and then you go fight the boss, and you move on to the next stage. Super Lucky's Tale had DLC, but those DLC stages are integrated into new Super Lucky's Tale. And they take place after the main campaign, so that's a little interesting. You can't just choose it at any time like you could for Super Lucky's Tale. So now that you got a Super Lucky's Tale tutorial, I wanted to tell a quick story about MLB The Show 22, which unfortunately is leaving Game Pass March 31st, which I guess is tomorrow. But I was hoping it would be April 15th because that's when 21 left last year. But much like the question, I knew that this game was only like 4 or 5 hours. Well, maybe like 8 to 10, but we'll pretend it's 4 to 5. So Nightwolf contacted me and he said, "Do you want to knock out some multiplayer with me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, definitely." So we got online and we played some games together. The first thing we did was went to ranked game and tried to match up. And we did this for like half an hour and couldn't match up. And then we realized that if you go to my profile on top, you can invite your friends to play a game with you. So after all that, we were able to match up together. Very silly. They don't put it under the online category. It's kind of hidden under my profile, which is really stupid. So we got that done, and there's one achievement for getting either the computer or another multiplayer, another player, to strike out looking with a perfect pitch, and you need to change your pitching to pitch with the right stick as opposed to just hitting A. And it's a little bit difficult to figure out. Once I figured out the timing of it, I spent like an hour or two trying to get the computer to strike out looking, and no matter what I did, they always swung at the ball, and I couldn't get the achievement. But then finally, I hooked up with Nightwolf again, and I got it done playing with him.
I'll say you weren't playing like a double A team or something?
No, whatever I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, I think
they always swung at the ball.
Did they? Oh, okay, because I was doing the double A team, and it was pretty easy. It was just trying to. It was hard to get the perfect pitch at first.
It takes a little bit of timing, I think, and then you pick the cutter and you do a little semicircle and you hit down as the pitcher lets go of the ball. And then we both managed to have one achievement left, which was the one, I guess the RNG one for having a hard pitch hit back at the fielder.
Oh yeah, 100 some miles. Yeah.
So we decided to race to get the last achievement because we both needed it, and we were in party while this was happening, and he'd be like, "What's your score?" And I'm like, "It's like 42-1." I'm like, "What's your score?" It's 35 to nothing. And then out of nowhere, both of us got the achievement at the exact same time.
Oh wow!
It was uncanny. Yeah. So we both completed the game together, and it was just a quick, fun achievement story. Now, going back to the initial question, though, I actually think the achievement list is kind of bad. It doesn't encourage you to, win a World Series, play through a season, things that you would probably want to do in an MLB game. There's a lot of things you could just do easily in one or two games.
Well,
so
have I got good news for you then?
Yes.
Because it looks like 23 is going to be a little bit more involved from what I've seen.
Yeah, a couple of people were complaining that you have to do that dynamic.
Diamond Dynasty.
Diamond Dynasty.
Yeah, Diamond Dynasty. Yes. So that's where you're like.
It just depends on how they do it.
Make a team, right?
Yeah. Well, you have to get a pitch. I think they were talking about you have to get like a diamond pitcher, but from what I've seen when I was playing with it on 22, that shouldn't be hard unless they change some stuff in it. But it's just going to be more involved from what I was looking at. There's more, which is good or bad depending on how you want to do it. I like the games. I'm going to play it.
I mean, that's what it should be, right?
Yeah.
I think it should be like that. But last year, I did the same thing. I finished 21. I started 22, and then a whole year went by and before I went back to it.
Yeah.
So hopefully, knowing the list is a little more in depth, I will start it.
Yeah, I think early estimates kind of put it around 30-ish hours, maybe 20 when people find out more stuff. But yeah.
I mean, considering we'll definitely have a year to finish it, that seems fair.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that concludes our sports talk for today.
Yes. Hopefully more on sports talk next week, so we don't bore Nate.
Yeah, he's sleeping. He already took his meds for the night. He's done.
All right. Well, Nate, we need your input for this next one. As we go to Michelle. You're up, Michelle.
All right. I don't think I had anything that controversial to say that I was bumped to the back of Game Showcase, but here we are.
Oh, yeah. You're bumped.
Yeah, I'm actually going to refer back to the question for this week as well. So the game I'm going to talk about is Undertale, and Undertale is one of these games that recently left Game Pass, and that led to a bunch of folks in our community and obviously across communities like True Achievements playing it. And if you look at True Achievements, it gives you a completion estimate of about 4 to 5 hours. And while that is true of the list, the list is... If you're looking for a list that makes the game shorter so you can play it and get a 100% on your tag, it's a fine list. But if you're looking for a list that will actually get you to play the game, it's an awful list. And it stops about 2/3 into the game. And so, once so Elle and I had started playing through the game together with my brother, just going through and experiencing whatever. And Elle peeled off after we finished the last achievement, and my brother and I continued on. And it took another 4 hours past last achievement to get through the campaign. But I am so glad I did, because everything about Undertale that has made it such a big success really is wrapped up in that latter part of the game. And the way that many of us approached it, myself included, with the Game Pass leaving and let's get through it's 4 or 5 hours, and then people came away from Undertale going, I don't get it. You don't get it because you didn't really finish it. Now, let me qualify that statement by saying, if it's not your kind of game, it's not your kind of game. Like, Undertale is a role-playing game, and the big hook of Undertale is that it provides you with 2 options to get through it for the most part. You can either do what's called the mercy no kill route, where you always have an option when you're in battle to show mercy to your enemies by sparing them. Or you can do what's called the genocide route, where you fight everything. And the whole game hinges on this concept. If you're not interested in any of that, it's still JRPG style gameplay. The game is heavily, heavily influenced by Earthbound. It's not going to strike any chords for you. But that, like, the more I think on it, the more I think on that last, 2 hours of the game where it really plays through to its conclusion, it was awesome. And it's sad to me sometimes that I think of all the folks I've spoken to are like, it wasn't that great. And then oh, but you never finished the game. I know, Koosh, you're kind of in that spot. But again, I don't want to admonish people who didn't finish it, because if it wasn't for you, it's not for you. And that's completely fine. But it's like playing half the game or getting half the game's mechanics and judging the game based on that. And I just think that's a little unfortunate. There's certainly people who've played all of Undertale and still don't like it, and that's completely fine. But I just wish more people had played through the conclusion. Just for clarification, too, while we're talking about the achievements, in case anybody is going to play Undertale now that it's out of Game Pass, the majority of Undertale's achievements are locked up in this sort of casino room you find, where you have to get 3 cherries, 3 ghosts, 3 sevens. I want to say there are 11 of the game's 22 or 23 achievements that are there. And then most of the rest of it's just progression. So it's a very, very easy list. It is a list you can accomplish in 4 or 5 hours. It does absolutely nothing for showcasing the game, though. So if you're playing just the achievements, it'll be fine. You'll get through it. You probably won't enjoy it that much. But if you really want to play Undertale for playing Undertale, ignore the achievement list. You will get everything. Just enjoy the ride, enjoy the story, enjoy the characters, enjoy the amazing soundtrack. It's really, in my opinion, just a great game.
I mean, yeah. I was one of those that, I definitely did dip before the end. But I was enjoying what I was playing. I enjoyed the humor in the game. I enjoyed the ideas of the game. I enjoyed the soundtrack. Graphically, it was but
yeah,
that didn't really matter, I guess, in the grand scheme.
I mean, the other layer to all that, and of course that's not an excuse one way or the other, but the whole game is it's developed, written, character designed, composed, everything by primarily one guy and one other person who helped with some character designs, I think. So, I mean, it's really just this Herculean sort of effort to get all of that together. And there's just, to speak too much in detail about the things that I find really cool about the game would be kind of spoilery. There are things that are just better if you experience them. So I don't want to get into them in detail, because if somebody is listening who wants to experience that, that's the fun of it, is experiencing that and having those aha moments where where whatever is happening hits you and you go, oh, wow, I didn't see that part coming. And there's even as one little thing, when you finish the game, because of the different routes that you can take, if you finish it playing the complete pacifist run where you fight nothing, there's actually a point after the final battle there where the game says, hey, I wonder if you went to this other place where somebody is, what would happen? And it clues you into, oh, there's more after this final battle. I'm going to go check that out, which is just such a cool concept even in and of itself. So yeah, I don't want to hammer that point home too hard. Again, it's awesome that people experience it in any way. Game Pass is very cool for that. Achievements is cool for that. It's just, it's not a great list unless all you're looking for in a list is a relatively quick completion.
Wow, yeah.
Now, Koosh, you played just to the end of the list, correct?
Yes.
And it was before I even played Undertale, it was a game I had some interest in, but only because I'd heard so much about it. Did you have any interest in it, or was it just, hey, it's on Game Pass, it's leaving, it's a quick completion?
No, it's the no. I'd heard about it. A lot of people that talk about indie games talked about it, said it was great. I knew that there was a pacifist run, and I knew that was kind of the hook to the thing. I knew about the music. I knew about the, if you love Earthbound or whatever, you know. Now, I never played Earthbound, so I have no nostalgia for that. I hate played this game. I just did not like it. And after I got that first achievement, I was like, geez, I almost cursed. That's how much I hated that. I almost dropped a big old F-bomb because I did not enjoy the game. So I don't, when you say that, you know, 2 hours after the last achievement or whatever, it redeems itself, number one, I'm super happy for you. Number two, I don't see how it's possible for me. Well, like I don't see how they turned it around and I become an Undertale fan.
Well, and that's again where I'd qualify it as like in a different universe where there were no achievements and that was never ever attached to it. I'm guessing the likelihood that you ever would have even pressed start on the game is 0. Right? Like certainly
absolutely, yeah.
You have some curiosity about it. And I guess
play.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I'm not really an RPG player anymore. Like I used to play like Dragon's Warrior and, you know, the original Final Fantasies and stuff like that. And I used to have time for RPGs. I've just changed. I just don't really enjoy those games that much anymore. Like the deep RPGs, it's just not my thing anymore.
Yeah, and I think that's fair, and I guess that's like why I'm a little sad about that takeaway, because your hate play takeaway is sort of contingent on the fact that you probably would have never even started it in the first place, right? Like it's Undertale is very good, but it's not going to change your mind if you're not into that sort of thing. So like, if the achievement lists were a little different, you wouldn't have put yourself through that experience because you wouldn't have been like, I'm not investing 40 hours in this, you know? So I wish the achievement list was better.
From what I had heard, I would have tried it anyway, just because a lot of people, you know, I do like some RPGs and light RPGs, and this one I wouldn't call like an extensive RPG.
It's not, no.
Like that. So it's the level of RPG where I'm like, okay, I can do that. But yeah, I just did not. I just didn't enjoy it. It wasn't for me. Other games are, but this one was not.
Yeah, and there are plenty of very valid critiques to it. Like it's, I don't totally agree with Rocker, where there's no such thing as a game that's a 10, except for the ones that we can point out that he's rated on his profile. But it's very hard to create that game that's like perfect for everybody or will strike that chord for everybody. Even games that are universally loved have the people who just don't get them, and Undertale can certainly be that way. So I totally get all that. But if people have played it and they didn't get it at the end and they're interested, there are a million long play videos and such on YouTube that you can certainly watch. Or there are also lots of people who've like crystallized the whole game. And if you're interested in it, I did not, like Koosh, I would not ask you to, because I don't want you to hate watch anything either. But like, I would encourage people to go check that out and just see if what they see makes why it was so popular with people makes more sense. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to Toby Fox's next project now, which I didn't even know was a thing. So this is I definitely came away from the experience feeling pretty good about it.
Yeah, it looks like you did it too, Wild West. And you
I did. I started it because I saw on Frame's list that it possibly could be leaving, and also the shopping target they had for TA. All those casino things were all, there was like, I think that was like almost my whole list there. And so I did it, but I was kind of like in the thing with Koosh that it was just like, I started playing it and I was like, what am I doing? What am I doing here? And so I did cut out once the achievements were done. It wasn't my thing. I didn't like it, but more power to you for we all like different things, and that's what I appreciate about gaming and everything, that we all enjoy our stuff we like.
Right. I think the piece I'd advocate for with Undertale is that it's not the gameplay. The gameplay doesn't change, but it's the storytelling and the way the story and again, you may get to the end there and it still does nothing for you. And that's completely valid. But for me, when I got through to that ending, it really I went from being kind of neutral on the game to being like, wow, I am so happy I saw this through to the end, because it struck a chord with me.
And maybe I need to go back and do that. I've done that with I've just played Gears 5 on an alternate profile, and I couldn't get through it, and so I watched video to kind of see the story. So maybe I can go back and do that with Undertale as well, kind of see how it finishes.
Did you do genocide? Did you kill everything? So I get the feeling that's less interesting to kill everything. Do you remember?
Are you talking to me or?
Yeah.
I
know Michelle.
Yeah, okay.
I know Michelle.
I did the pacifist. I kind of just left most.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I did some. Like I did play it after the fact. I restarted it and did some try to figure out the mechanics on the other side of it. But yeah, just I didn't like it.
Okay.
If I remember
dialogue
correctly,
and stuff?
I do.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, if I
No,
remember
go ahead.
correctly, I think the genocide run is the more difficult of the two. So the pacifist run would be the recommended. And I think if you went into the game not knowing, there's a battle very early on in Undertale where if you've played enough RPGs, you're like, oh, this is the battle that's showing me how to fight. And you would just assume to fight. But no, you're supposed to not fight in that battle either. So I think if you're playing with no knowledge of it, you're more likely to get a neutral run than the other ones. But the achievements it doesn't matter. And that's something that came out. We were discussing this with our Monday night gaming crew. And, I don't know how I would feel either, though, on the flip side. Like, again, I will continue to contend it's an awful list. But if the list included finish the game on pacifist, finish the game on genocide, I don't know how I'd feel about that either, because I don't want to play it 3 times.
Yeah.
Like, I had one good experience and I'm good there, thanks.
And I will say that little kind of rectangle attack thing that they had was unique for me. I don't really remember seeing that before, kind of dodging stuff and everything. So I thought that was interesting, and I liked that part of it.
Right. So just to make it clear for anyone who hasn't played Undertale, when you choose to do the pacifist run, each enemy has a selection of ways you can engage with it. And when you do that, there's this box that opens up and you essentially play as a little red heart, and you have to avoid various elements that are coming at you. And every time an element hits you, you lose a couple hit points. Eventually, if you pick the right options, the character's name will turn yellow, and that lets you know that you can spare them. And that's how the mercy run works, is you're just looking for the ways to spare the enemies. And that's every enemy. There is a point where there's an enemy that you will have to fight. You will know. It makes it very clear when that enemy is.
All right, very cool. Hopefully people give their thoughts in podcast discussion on Undertale and anything else we talked about. Moving on to sales. Mr. Wild West, you go ahead first, sir.
All right. I will not be talking about Shadow of Mordor today, although maybe I'll hand that game out for free someday. I'll send Koosh the code for it someday. Maybe we can have a contest for it. But I really enjoyed Bomber Crew. That was I think it was a game with gold, I believe, and it was on Game Pass. So it's made the rounds. I did it when it was coming off Game Pass, and I absolutely loved it. I played for it long after I was done with the achievements until I couldn't play it on Game Pass anymore, and then I bought it. I really liked it. It's fun. It's not a hard management game. I think it is classified as a management game. I'd have to go back and look at it, but it's not really like you kind of just you play as a crew that's looking you start flights and things will happen like fires and others, and you have to shoot stuff, and so I don't know. It's just a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. It's $2.99, so it's a really really cheap price. It's down from $19.99. And the other one is Civilization 6 Anthology Pack is $24.49, down from $69.99, and that's the lowest price. And you get Civilization 6, you get a lot of the DLC. I think all of the DLC from what I saw. So that's a great price. I'm gonna definitely pick that up just so I can own it and not have to worry about Game Pass restrictions and everything.
Very cool. Nate.
Thanks for asking. I'm going to recommend Ghostbusters, the video game remastered. This is $7.50 down from $30. This is a third-person shooter. I didn't really play the 360 version when it came out, so I don't really have a love for that. But I do have a love for the movie, and my gosh, those screens of the remastered just look so good. I'm really looking forward to this one.
Yeah,
I already own it.
I'm sure you've heard it's all the voice actors. I'm pretty sure.
Yes, yeah. I knew that they they came back for it, and it just this is
That's a big deal.
nostalgia in a can, and I'm interested. It's 12 to 15 hours. It's got a 4.08 rating score on TA from 371 people, which I think is a huge number, like for people to actually rate a game. So that's a pretty good score. I think, it's not just me. It's 371 people telling you that it's a pretty good game. Next up, Tohu, I guess, but you have to shout it because it's all caps. That seems to be the theme this week for me. Sorry. $7.50 down from 15. This is a puzzle adventure point and click. It's 2 to 3 hours, and it's a 3.47 rating from 50 people. I like the art style. I like the puzzle looking of it. So I'm picking this one up for sure. And last up, a game that when I saw, I thought of Big L. I think that you should look at this game, Al. Not buy it, but I think you should look at it and think about buying it. It's The Wardrobe Even Better Edition. This is $5 down from 20.
Wait, are you trying to say I need a better wardrobe?
I'm just saying. It's $5 down from 20. It's an adventure point and click, 5 to 6 hours, and it has a whopping 3.5 from 7 people. But if you look at the screens of this game, the backgrounds are super detailed. I think they have a lot of Easter eggs. I think they have a lot of references. And just watching some screens or some video of the game in motion, I think this is a point and click you might actually be interested in. So take a look.
I will.
So I was curious, and I was looking at the 360 Ghostbusters game. That has a 3.67 rating with over 5,000 votes. So it's pretty close to the rest.
You know, people.
We were talking pre-show.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm thinking people might have gotten screwed on an achievement and then gave it.
Yeah, that could have dropped a little bit. Yeah,
exactly.
I've seen people do that.
But we were talking pre-show about the game and the fact that the remastered doesn't have any online, so it kind of gets rid of those online issues. But there are some gotchas with the game, and there's also a cheese method for doing the hard difficulty playthrough. So do some reading.
Okay.
I'm going to recommend Thimbleweed Park. It is $4.99 down from 20. It is classic point and click. It's got a rating of 5 from 8,000 people. And
doubt.
What do you mean doubt? Perfect. It's a perfect game.
All right, I will look that up and report back in a minute.
And
he's just spamming his X on his Xbox controller right now.
And Dark Grim Mariopolis is $2.99, 40% off. That has a rating of 1.2.
Yes, it would.
It's got a 1 from everyone except for Chivo Guides, who gave it a 5. And
it's got a 3.83 from 1,137 votes, so you're not far off on the votes.
Yeah, it is a good game. I really like Thimbleweed.
Yeah, Thimbleweed's very good.
Thimbleweed's awesome.
Unless you don't like clowns, then you might not like it.
You don't like beep clowns?
Especially foul-mouthed clowns.
He's hilarious. Very hilarious. All right. Even better wardrobe. Damn it, Koosh. All right, well, I think we're going to be podcasted on the April Games with Gold. But if you're listening when this drops, you have 1 or 2 more days to get Truberbrook and Sudden Strike collection. And Lamentum is still available. Someone play that game and tell me how it is. I really like the cover art, but then that's about it. In Game Pass news, MLB The Show 23 is now out. It's amazing the wonders of Game Pass. I have so many people. I'll show you my age on my Facebook. Saying, "Oh, I went to pick up MLB The Show today." Like people are still buying games, like especially games like this that'll be worth about 2 cents next year. Stop buying physical copies of sports games, people.
Yeah.
Game Pass. Infinite Guitars. Nate, you need to report back to us on that one next week. I'm giving you a homework.
Yeah, I'm probably I will probably play that on an alternate tag.
Really?
Just because I'm not a huge fan of the music games anymore either. So
Oh, come on.
I'm just not as good as I am in my head. No, I'm just saying, like, I don't enjoy them as much because I feel like I'm better than I actually am when I play those games. Like, my rhythm is so bad when I play those games that I'm like, this is not true. Like, this can't be true. I don't know. There's some sort of weird lag in the world and my brain. It just doesn't make sense. So I don't want to put myself through that.
You need to be a hero and play it and report back to us. And you have infinite lives, right? Because it's called Infinite Guitars. So. And Ninu Kuni 2, Revenant Kingdom, Prince's Edition. I mean, I would ask a wise-ass question of you need to play one first, but I feel like that's something where you do need to play one first. But I don't know for sure. All right. Game of the Month, Psychonauts 2 is coming to a close. There is a poll in progress for April. I'll keep that hush-hush until next week. It's definitely something that is a good game. All right. Brad Camp. Let's do it.
Okay. I am up. In completions, we have RFC Ori at 150 completed games. Aptos 84 has reached 200 completed games. Boots Orion has reached 350 completed games. Septic Earl has just passed 600 completed games, but Firehawk D more than doubles that up at 1,250 completed games and is met there by Toadstyle Venom, who has also completed 1,250 games. And finally, Sangria's, our recent triple millionaire, has hit 2,850 completed games. Good job, everyone.
In streaks,
too many.
Vulgar Latin is currently on a classic 50-day achievement win streak. Cerebral Assassin with 150 days. Thrash Forever with 450. Alicia with 700 days, Dinoman 87 with 850 days, Eldritch SS with 950 days, and celebrating their 1-year achievement win streak is Domain.
Very nice. In Gamerscore...
You think Do-Alt? Do-Alt also has a 1-year achievement win streak. That was terrible. Go ahead.
In Gamerscore, we got Red Stack with 100,000 Gamerscore. Death Dealers has reached 450,000 Gamerscore. Boots Orion with 450,000 Gamerscore. Lego Head 1977 at 950,000 Gamerscore. I look forward to seeing that million there soon. And Septic Earl with 1.1 million Gamerscore.
Do you think Lego spells million with a U? Because I do.
At least one.
That's definitely at least one. In leaderboards, Alicia is in the top 50 of the TA leaderboard for Party. Chewy on Ice is in the top 200 of the TA leaderboard for Adventure. Chesno, Mr. Shiba, is in the top 50 of England Achievements 1 leaderboard for Fighting. Crazy Catman is in the top 100 of the TA Difference leaderboard for Casino. That's a good one. The best casino games were definitely like Casino Kid on the NES and like Vegas Stakes on SNES. If you know those games, hit me up. Those are good games. Death Dealers is in the top 10 of Ohio TA leaderboard for Management. Fuath is in the top 2,000 of the TA leaderboard for Simulation Racing. Mighty Mango is in the top 100 of the Gamer Score leaderboard for Pinball. And Scatavesi is in the top 5 of Pennsylvania Achievements 1 leaderboard for Metroidvanias. Yes, one of us. One of us. Awesome job, everybody. If you would like to support the show, next week should be our live show. Nothing can go wrong this time.
Never.
That's for sure. Hopefully,
what could go wrong again?
Hopefully, Fufu will be back.
It's just a strip of insanity.
Of course, most of our action takes place in Discord. And we have a ton of channels, ton of contests ongoing. And of course, a very special patron VIP room for all of our patrons where we discuss the game of the month. We ask the question of the week. And when we have questions about the podcast, we ask you guys. So it's very important. And we appreciate it very much. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Wild West, for the last-minute guest spot.
Thanks for having me.
Anytime. For real, anytime. And class is dismissed. Classic. Goodbye.
Later.
Bye.
Hello and welcome to Neverending Stories. This is a little segment that I put together based on a contest that I'm running exclusively for patrons and staff members, where I ask them to go back and play some of the games that they have left untouched for a very long time. They never actually even finished the story. So I take the oldest games on the tags where they hadn't completed the story or campaign mode, and I say, just do it. What are you waiting for? Don't worry about the completion. Don't worry about the collectibles, the multiplayer, all that rubbish. Just finish that story. Joining me today is an illustrious veteran of the podcast. And actually, as we were just talking about before we recorded, this is the first time we've actually spoken to each other IRL. Well, kind of IRL, with our actual voices. It's Rorka Dude. How you doing, Rorka?
Hello. Been a long time coming. I'm doing very fine this afternoon. How are you doing in your evening?
Yes, yeah, it's your afternoon, my evening. I'm doing well. We've put the kids to bed. We've had our dinner, yeah, it's nice and quiet here in the evening. But the reason we don't record together is because this is your like prime, I guess, dinner time, kid bedtime time. So it doesn't really work out.
Yeah, work just finished up. The kids are crazy, going nuts after school. They could pop in any minute. Who knows? So we'll just have to play it by ear.
We'll live on the edge. Well, this is just a little short segment, so we'll see how this goes. But it would be great to do something more with you. But that's not what we're here for. What we're here for today is to talk about one of the games that you started way back in 2014, and you played a tiny little bit of it before putting it down for a fairly long time. What game are we talking about?
Of course, we're talking about Limbo.
Ooh, Limbo. So the Limbo-like that started it all.
Yeah. I'm. Koosh won't like me for this segment, I'm sure.
So it's interesting because I look back. So I've done a few of these now, and everyone has kind of a different journey to this. So some people, they kind of bean dive a game and then they just don't come back to it for years and years and years and years and years, and it stays untouched. Some people maybe come back here and there, or they do like the Big L style RTDL pick and mix of achievements over the years. And it looks like you've kind of come back to it multiple times. So judging by just the achievements, you started in 2014, did a tiny bit, 2 achievements. Then you came back in 2016, got 1 achievement. Yeah. 2017, got 1 more achievement. 2019, 3 achievements. You nearly got there. You nearly got to the end. But then it then remained unplayed for pretty much 3 years, 2.5 years.
Yes.
Before I said, Rorka, just finish the damn story, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And you did it, and you did it all in a day. It looks like 10th of Jan, knocked it out, because it's not even a long game, is it?
No, I had 2 achievements left to complete the story, and that ended up being like, I don't know, maybe 4 to 6 Limbo chapters. So yeah, I don't know why I stopped, but it was right there at the checkered flag.
It must have only been like an hour or hour and a half or something like that. I'd imagine. Guesstimate.
Maybe half an hour. Yeah.
Well, and it's kind of hard to judge it entirely because all of the achievements, bar that last one, are actually collectible based. So it looks like you were kind of going along to get those as you went along, so you weren't missing stuff. Why do you think you didn't do it all in one go at the beginning? Because, like I say, it's not a long game. Did you not like it?
Probably because it's not a long game and it's not an interesting game. Hot take, I know.
Controversial.
Yes.
So are you not kind of a fan of Limbo likes in general, or does this one just
I'm
not grab
good
you?
with left to right side scrollers. Bring them on all day long. I need some better platforming than what Limbo offers, and I play games with subtitles on. It's really weird. I hate subtitles in movies, but I have to have them on in my games, and it's even better if there's actually voice acting with subtitles on. Makes no sense with the movie thing, but that's how I get my story. I don't follow this silent watch whatever's happening in the background kind of storytelling that Limbo's trying to get. It does not resonate with me. I don't know why.
Yeah, so it's kind of environmental storytelling, and they really don't give you much of anything at all. I played it a long time ago, and I seem to remember that it, the story starts out with, I think it's you're a boy and you're kind of searching. Is it your sister, or there's someone that you're looking for? I think. In this
I think there is a
world.
girl there. Yep.
Yeah, and it's kind of this weird dark world, which is kind of not realistic. There's realistic elements to it, but then there's like massive giant spider monsters and sort of tribal-ish type people who seem to hate you for no apparent reason. It's my memory of it.
Pretty much equates to my memory.
Yeah, well, you just played it, damn it.
I played 2 achievements worth.
Yeah, true. Well, that's my kind of other thing, is that kind of, story's not hugely important. It's more about atmosphere. It's more about kind of the feeling you're getting, I guess, while you're playing it. But did you, as you picked it up again, was it easy to pick up and kind of remember where you were? You didn't go back at all, I guess? You just kind of carried on from where you left off?
Yeah, so the thing is, I remember playing the 360 version in some capacity. So, like, nothing was particularly new. Some things, like, popped in my memory, like, oh, I remember this part of it. But with that in mind, I went straight to a video. Like, let me just, I don't want to figure out these puzzles right now. I'm just going to finish the game. I'll get any collectibles along the way that I can. And so in that sense, it was easy going back to it. Other than that, it's not a hard game. It's super intuitive. You move left to right and you jump. You might have to figure out, do I press X or B to like hold something to move it? But otherwise, yeah, it's not a difficult game. You don't go left, except from the very beginning, and then that's it.
Yeah. And so, you finally came back to it. You finished up the story. Was it worth it in the end? Are you glad for completing it? Or could you just have easily carried on ignoring it for years to come, do you think?
The most rewarding part of doing it is getting a chance to talk to you, Chewie.
Oh, you're making me blush, man.
Well, that maybe that speaks for the game. Maybe that speaks for you. Maybe it's both.
So, have you played any of the other most obvious Limbo-like ones? And the one I'm thinking specifically of is Inside, which is the same developer, Playdead, made their own Limbo-like kind of. It's not a sequel, but there is so much close to it. Inside. Have you done that one?
I have not. It's like it's on my list. Like if somebody told me to do it for a contest, I would do it. In fact, just today in the Discord, they were talking about like the next game of the month, and I was like, Inside, and I was looking, I'm like, everybody's already done this one, so I don't know when that's going to come up, but
I mean, you'll probably feel very similarly about Inside to Limbo. It is kind of the DNA is pretty much the same, but it is a more advanced version of that same kind of template. You're not going to get much more story.
Yeah.
A bit more. There's more world building, definitely, but it's still mostly about atmosphere and kind of tension and that feeling of kind of this dark world that's out to get you, whatever you do. It's the same, it's very similar, but mechanically it's a little bit more advanced, and it looks prettier, and there's definitely more to it, but it's a very similar game.
Yeah.
But I like it, so I recommend it. I like the original.
I'll keep it in mind. It seems like it's a game I could do in like 2 or 3 sittings about the time I get to play. So we'll see after my next long game. I say we'll see. Probably won't happen, but it's there.
Until I tell you it's going to happen, right? Because you're in my thrall now.
Yeah,
So,
I am.
So you've finished the game with 10 out of 13 achievements, 730 gamer score. 1200 TA. All that you have left is, it looks like, maybe one achievement that you missed, one collectible that you missed. Something else that I'm not sure.
It looks like it's
Ding.
both. It looks like two of them are collectibles. One has to do with some hidden eggs, which I vaguely remember.
I see. Yeah, so you have to have got the collectibles, and then there's an Easter egg having got the collectibles. That's
something like that. So I could easily get two of those three.
You could. I think there's chapter select, so you could probably just go back to those.
Right.
But then there's the kind of infamous one. There's the completing the game with fewer than 5 deaths, which
in one sitting.
In one sitting. Do you have any intention of doing that?
Maybe when you do the never-ending completions and we have to go back and complete it, I would be tempted. I've never tried it. I've never had the inclination to go back and try it. I think it's doable for sure, but
well, people have definitely done it.
You're right.
It has been done. And I think, I don't know, I'm not very good at games, so I don't have much hope that I would be able to do it that easily,
I'm looking. I have 23 friends who've done it, including Mental Knight. I think I could do it,
I think you probably could. I'm not sure I could. And I like the game, and I have no inclination of doing it because I don't like those types of achievements in general.
It would probably make you dislike the game a little bit.
That's pretty much exactly it. It's the same for me, like speedruns in adventure games. I've said many times how much I dislike them because I'm not playing the game for that. I'm not playing the game to challenge myself to do it quickly or do it particularly well. I'm just enjoying the story, the atmosphere, and all puzzles and all of that stuff. So I really don't have any inclination to doing it personally. But if you're a little bit more of someone who likes to challenge themselves, then maybe you'll want to. Maybe it'll turn up on an RTDL or something as well.
Yeah, I don't have as much motivation for that, but yeah, the opportunity is there. I might do it. Probably not, though.
It's fresh in your mind, right? At least the last 2 or 3 chapters of the game are fresh in your mind.
The YouTube video is definitely fresh in my browser history.
Awesome. Okay, so that's Limbo. Well done. Congratulations. You did it. You ended the story. Do you have any plans to look at the rest of your list and knock anything else out? Because you've got quite a variety of stuff on here. Some quite big and chunky, but some other stuff that maybe would be a little bit more manageable.
Yeah, I'll tell you, there are some stuff that I've already skipped, and then more stuff just like them gets added on, where I've dived a AAA 60-hour open world game, and so I'm not going to do that. And
looking at you, Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah, that's definitely not happening. Some of the stuff that I've looked at, like I've gone back to Zombie Driver Ultimate Edition. There's nothing that's been too hard in that one. It doesn't keep my attention, so I haven't tried it more.
I was surprised to see Oddworld, because I know you're a massive Oddworld fan, like a big Oddworld fan.
Yeah, I do like Oddworld, but that one is not the style that I like. So I was surprised, though, how much I have not done in that game. So I might go back and try it. The one that's really on my mind is Batman Arkham Knight, because I played a lot of that game. I say a lot, like 15 hours, but it felt like a lot. And I actually have tried to go back to it, and I'm at this really annoying part where I'm in a car and I have to beat this boss in a really weird way. I don't know. So that one's kind of a roadblock for me, but
yeah. So that one is one of my uncompleted ones as well. I think it's not on my oldest list, but it's one that I always plan to go back to. But I think the driving sections are the bits that everyone kind of says ugh when they get to it. So yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Yeah, you've got a good chunk of achievements in that. And in fact, you are, according to story achievements, which could be like 3 hours or it could be 30 hours, but you've got
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. You've got four story-based achievements, so you can't be that far away.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That one is my most optimal one to complete. So I'm gonna try it. I'm not done with it, but we'll see if I can get past this really dumb car part.
Okay, well, that's all we have for you this time. Hopefully, if you do come back to any of those, Roker, we'll be able to rejoin our forces and talk about those, or maybe come up with a new segment to do if we can make it work. But thank you for joining me tonight, and thank you for completing your never-ending story.
Hey, thanks for giving me a never-ending story to complete.
Hello and welcome to another installment of Wakavania. I'm Wakapale, and one of the few to have played Ratalaika Metroidvania Lootbox Life Plus. While it is in no doubt a Metroidvania featuring an interconnected world gated by ability upgrades, true achievements might never consider it a Metroidvania, as you have zero offensive capabilities and cannot directly hurt your enemies. You play as Liam Capello, a ball-like creature living in a post-apocalyptic world ruined by loot boxes and cosmetic drugs, rolling through the environments littered by loot boxes, trinkets and corpses of loot box junkies. The colorful pixel art and pleasant music is completely dissonant with the dark and messed up story. Lootbox Life Plus is a pretty difficult game featuring some pretty challenging platforming, or it can be, if you play it as intended. The difficulty is highly customizable, but the real game changer is the assist modes, allowing you invulnerability and giving you unlimited jumps. It took me 4 hours to complete the game without using assist mode, mopping up all but one achievement. Then I wasted around 2 hours with assist modes trying to complete the free roam mode, where you start with all of your abilities. Having played the game spread out over weeks, I could not remember where all the keys to the final area were. Turns out you do not need them. You can glitch through the key gate as soon as you have all of your abilities, which you start out with in free run mode. Lootbox Life Plus can be completed in less than an hour with a good guide. Unfortunately, those guides do not exist yet, and given the low player base, they might never get made. The achievement list is very straightforward, and there are no missables, but you might end up accidentally missing a few if you use assist mode with unlimited jumps. The world is not very large, but the in-game map is hot garbage and do not give you any useful information aside from what areas are connected to each other. You will need to do a second playthrough in the free roam mode, but using the final gate skip, you can easily complete free roam mode in around 10 minutes. Finding all of the hidden cutscenes, of which there are 3, is the only tricky achievement to unlock. These can be found above the shop through the hole in the roof. Another one is in the area above the base camp, close to the top of the hill on the far left of the area, and one is at the bottom right of the very shady cavern. I had a pretty good time with Lootbox Life Plus, but it is by no means great. The lack of in-game tracking can make it rather frustrating to navigate the world, hoping to stumble upon upgrades or ability gates. Without assist mode, it can also be difficult to traverse the danger-filled environments, and the fast travel points are quite far from each other. Lootbox Life Plus is not bad. Unfortunately, it is not very good either, with next to no signposting telling you where to go, despite having a linear ability requirement, unless you abuse glitches. The game has 29 achievements worth 1000 game score and almost 1800 TA at the moment. The asking price of $10 is not unfair, but Lootbox Life Plus is hardly a must-play title. With a guide, the game is completable in 1 hour, but since there are no proper achievement guides yet, I'd guess it would take around 6 hours for the completion. Less time if you start off using the assist mode. Have a nice day, everyone!